Thanks for joining us on the news tonight. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. We'll begin in Abuja, where former governor of Taraba State, Ishaku, has been admitted to bail in the sum of 150 million naira by an FCT High Court sitting in Maitama on alleged money laundering charges brought against him by the federal government. The former governor was granted bail by Justice Silvanus Orji with 2 sureties and like sum. Celestina Area reports.
Ishaku was governor of Taraba State from 2015 to 2023. On 30th September, the FCC arraigned the former governor alongside Bello Yeru, a former permanent secretary at the Bureau of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in Taraba State. They both pleaded not guilty to the charges and requested bail. At today's proceedings, Justice Silvanus Orji granted them bail. The court ordered both defendants to provide 2 sureties each who must reside within the FCT. However, one of the 2 sureties must be a federal government employee and must be a director. Similarly, the 2 sureties must be residents with their addresses verified by the registrar of the court. Also, Justice Orji barred the former governor and his co-defendants, Bello Yeru, from traveling out of the country except with the permission of the court. The trial has been adjourned till November for continuation. In the charge sheet, the EFCC accused the defendants of diverting the sum of 1 billion naira to their personal use between August 25, 2015 and March 21, 2016 in Abuja. The commission said the amount formed part of 2.5% contingency funds belonging to the Bureau of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. The EFCC also noted that both committed an offence contrary to Section 315 of the Penal Code. Celestina Area, TVC News, Abuja.
President Bola Tinubu has transmitted 4 fiscal policy and tax reform bills to the Nigerian Senate for its consideration and passage. The fiscal policy and tax reform bills by the Federal Inland Revenue Service for consideration include the Nigeria Tax Bill, the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, as well as the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. The proposed tax reform bills are contained in a letter addressed to the President of the Senate and read on the floor of the Upper Legislative Chamber at Thursday's plenary session. The Nigeria Tax Bill seeks to provide a consolidated fiscal framework for taxation in Nigeria, while the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill seeks to provide a clear and concise legal framework for the fair, consistent and efficient administration of all the tax laws to facilitate ease of tax compliance, reduce tax disputes, and optimize revenue. The proposed bills have now been referred to the Senate Committee on Finance for further legislative action. The committee has been given 5 weeks to refer back to the Senate with its report. And the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Evaluation of Dams in Nigeria has met for the first time to put modalities in place to ensure a critical evaluation of the fiscal condition of all dams in the country. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Usev, says the committee will also work to establish the Disaster Relief Fund and review measures to forestall future disasters. Kemi Balogo has more.
On the 23rd of September, the Federal Executive Council meeting resolved to set up a disaster relief fund to help address instances of national disasters. Ministers at this inaugural meeting of the Interministerial Technical Committee are expected to ensure that henceforth there is always a comprehensive evaluation of dams. They will also ensure an assessment of the social and environmental implications of destructions on local communities as they draw up a framework to address the challenges of dams in the country.
This was necessitated by the breach of the Alao Dam in Maiduguri and the other critical dams in the country that needs maintenance or rehabilitation. And Mr. President graciously, as the chairman of the Federal Executive Council, constituted this technical committee with its membership to look into the situation and come up with recommendations to alleviate the challenges, the disasters that Nigeria is facing as a result of flooding and other critical situations in the country.
We have seen how flood waters have ravaged many communities in Nigeria, particularly in Borno State. We are still grappling with that disaster, and government is proactively looking at the situation with a view to averting its reoccurrence.
Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy says the government has allocated funds under a renewed infrastructure to support the rehabilitation of dams and irrigation facilities.
Funding was provided earlier this year, just before the commencement of the heaviest of the rainy season, for every state in the Federation were given funds, runs into billions, in order to prepare themselves.
The creation of a project delivery unit to provide technical support to the committee throughout the period of its assignment has also been considered. Kemi Balogun, TVC News, Abuja.
The Accountability Lab Nigeria, in collaboration with Public and Private Development Center, Media Rights Agenda, International Center for Investigative Reporting, Budget Foundation, and Right to Know, administered a Freedom of Information Act survey on 245 ministries, departments, and agencies of government. Addressing newsmen in Abuja, it reviewed the compliance pattern as regards the FOI Act as recorded since it was passed and assented to by the federal government in the year 2011. Senior reporter Bidalawa has more.
The Freedom of Information Act's provisions are meant to promote a culture of accountability and transparency by making investigative journalism possible. However, information that might jeopardize national security, international relations, or law enforcement proceedings is exempt from public access according to a number of sections 11 to 19 and 26 of the FOI Act. These seasoned experts says among the MDAs that came tops in the survey includes Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, National Bureau of Statistics, among others.
Over the years, we've observed notable progress, with several institutions consistently demonstrating excellence in implementation and compliance. However, challenges persist, including the lack of sufficient proactive disclosure of information, harassment by some security sector institutions, the blatant refusal of some institutions to disclose. But despite these challenges, we remain steadfast in our commitment to the FOI Act.
They insist citizens should be able to access government records without fear of retaliation or hindrance if the Nigerian government is serious about open governance. The report also emphasized that in spite of the FOI Act assurances of transparency, Nigerians have been denied access to their right to information due to its underutilization and the gaps in the judiciary and the police. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
And coming up on the news tonight, the Rivers State House of